Hi, Laura here, and welcome. So this is a short session, which is an introduction to weight loss, and it's an introduction that you might not have ever come across before. This is talking about weight loss in a completely different context. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. So welcome. And yeah, so this is going to be the session. So we're going to look at why the traditional eat less, move more approach doesn't work. I'm going to go into some brain basics, which is really interesting. Going to talk about some of the other things that impact our weight. So it's not as simple as move a little bit more, eat a little bit less. It's a bit more complex. There's other things that impact. I'm going to look at the solutions. So it's not all doom and gloom. There are solutions. So I'm going to be looking at what we can do to help us to lose weight and to manage our weight. And yeah, so a little bit about me. So I'm a solution-focused hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm really passionate about women's health in particular, focusing on weight loss and the menopause, and also I specialize in working on the performance side of things, so helping in particular sports people improve their performance. I'm a former personal trainer and fitness instructor. I'm still qualified and I can still work as a personal trainer and fitness instructor and sports coach if I wish, but I'm more focused now and interested in working on the mind. So it's no longer about working on the body. I'm more focused about the mind, so I focus more on that side. And also a little bit about me, I'm a new mum. I've got a little baby boy. So weight management. So we all know that what we should be doing, it's simple really, isn't it? Eat less and move more, okay? But if it was that simple, then we wouldn't all be struggling with weight loss. So why is it so hard? So how is it that you can go to Slimming World for a year and you can do great, and then 6 months later, we find ourselves heavier than when we started, or any other kind of diet that we've gone on? We can go on it, and then as soon as we come off it, a few months later, we're heavier than we originally started. How is it that I can wake up with such strong intentions and be really determined that today is going to be the start of a new day? And I have strong intentions, and then find myself by 8 o'clock sat on the sofa having a glass of wine and a bag of crisps or eating a chocolate bar. And how can I find myself with an empty packet of biscuits and I don't even remember actually even getting them out of the cupboard? Why is it that I don't have any willpower? So if some of these questions are relating to you, then keep watching, because all will be revealed. So yes, the traditional eat less, move more isn't really the answer. We're taught that it's a case of eat less calories, have less calories going in, and burn more calories. But it's not that simple. And it starts with the brain, because all our actions and all our habits and our behaviors are driven by our brain. So the more we can understand how our brain works, the more we can get in control of our brain and get it working for us and become in control of our actions and our habits and our behaviors, because most of our behaviors are driven by about sort of 95% of our subconscious. So we're not consciously doing things. So when you wake up in the morning and you're consciously saying, I'm going to eat healthy and move more, your subconscious, so throughout the day, will take over and you'll naturally fall back into those patterns of behavior. So let's have a look a little bit about the brain. So we have the prefrontal cortex, and this is the part that it's the part that you're using as you're watching this video. And it's a conscious part. It's a vast intellectual resource library. It's the logical part. So we have two parts of the brain. We have the intellectual part of the brain, and this is the part that I'm talking about. It's the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And when we're working from this part of the brain, we generally get things right in life. We'll be making decisions based on a proper assessment of the situation, and we're generally pretty positive. And when we work from this part of the brain, we know what we should be doing for our health and our fitness, and we follow through and we do what we need to do. And when we're in our intellectual part of the brain, we feel brave, we feel motivated, we're doing what we need to do. And that applies to other goals and aspects in our life. Now, there's another part of the brain, and this is the original primitive part of the brain, so our caveman part of the brain that we still have. And you might have come across it before. You might have heard of the amygdala. That's the fight, flight, freeze response of the brain. There's also the hippocampus, which controls all our behavioral patterns, and the hypothalamus, which controls our chemical responses. So the primitive part of the brain, it's our caveman brain, and all it cares about is keeping us alive. It cares about our safety and our survival. So it doesn't care about our goals and our wants and our dreams. So it doesn't really care that we're trying to lose weight. All it cares about is keeping you alive. Now, we have these two parts of the brain. We want to be in that intellectual part of the brain, but most of us, we spend a lot of our time in the primitive part of the brain. So how does this primitive part of the brain arise? So the primitive part of the brain, it just cares about our safety and survival. So let me give you an example. So you can see this lovely polar bear. So imagine that you look out the window and you see a polar bear. Now, for most of us, that's going to be pretty strange, depending on where you live, but bear with me. So imagine you see this polar bear. What would happen? So your heart rate's going to shoot up. You're going to get hot and sweaty. Your breathing's going to increase. You might have a panic attack. You're going to get really flustered, really worried. Your stomach's going to churn, and you're going to be off like a shot. You'd be running away from this polar bear. Now, in that situation, you'd be pleased because that's the right thing to do in that situation. However, what happens is the same response as seeing a primitive bear, the same response as seeing a polar bear is often triggered by everyday events in our lives. So things like getting an unexpected bill, getting stuck in traffic when you're already probably running late, trying to get to work or pick up the school kids, having an argument with somebody, just general day-to-day things can have the same example. So our primitive brain thinks that we're in some sort of danger, and it takes control and it kicks in. And that's where we get things like the fight, flight, freeze response. And all it cares about is keeping us alive. And the primitive brain will take over. So we move away from that intellectual part of our brain where we're able to stay calm and rational and make sort of logical assessments of a situation. And that's the part where we want to be when we're trying to lose weight. And we go into that primitive part of the brain. So when we're in the primitive part of the brain, it doesn't care about our weight loss. And that is when we still know what we should be doing, but we don't do it. And when we're in this primitive part of the brain, we're operating with these emotions of anxiety, depression, or anger, or it can be a combination of all three. And a primitive brain is always negative. It's always looking at the worst possible perspective. And it's always looking out for danger, and it can't think for itself. And this is key as well when it comes to weight loss. It just repeats previous patterns of behavior. So if you've had a really, really bad day and your stress response has been triggered and you're in that primitive part of the brain, you're going to have that pattern of behavior of always sort of turning to that glass of wine or that bar of chocolate or that packet of crisps. And when you have, it's hard to break that pattern of behavior when you're in the primitive part of the brain. And furthermore, also the primitive brain, because you were the primitive brain, because it kind of thinks the same thing as if you were faced with a polar bear, it thinks that the solution was to eat that bar of chocolate. Okay, you ate that bar of chocolate, you felt good, you're still alive, you're safe. So next time when you have a really bad day at work and you come home, you can have that bar of chocolate because that works. So when it comes to our weight loss journey, it's not as simple as eat less, move more, and it's our brain that controls our actions and behavior. So if we want to be able to eat less and move more, and to live more of a balanced, healthy diet, we need to understand how the brain works. And we understand that there's these two camps in the brain: the intellectual part of the brain, and that's the part we want to spend more time in, and the primitive part of the brain where we know what we should be doing, but we don't do it. So if you're constantly on a roller coaster of having those days where you get up and you're determined to follow a healthy, balanced lifestyle, but come sort of midday, that's all gone out the window, chances are you're in the primitive part of the brain. So rather than focusing on trying to find the best meal plan to follow or the latest workout program to follow. What you need to do is start finding ways of spending less time in the primitive part of the brain, more time in the intellectual part of the brain. And this is what I do when I work with my clients. And it stems, so I give them the tools and strategies to move away from the primitive part of the brain and spend more time in the intellectual part of the brain. And this is where we can achieve our goals. It doesn't even have to be just a weight loss goal. It could be any other kind of goal that you've got. So what causes us to move away from this intellectual, healthy eating, good decision part of the brain to the primitive part of the brain? And the primitive part of the brain, it's emotional. And this is the part that likes big portions. It likes that glass of wine or bottle of wine, that packet of crisps, the chocolate bar. So we're going to look at a stress bucket. And this is our stress bucket. So as our bucket fills, so some people have bigger stress buckets than others. So some people can take more stress, I guess. Some people have bigger buckets. Some people have better ways of emptying that stress bucket. So it might be filling, but they have like a funnel at the bottom. So some of it can then come out. And as this bucket fills, we lose intellectual control and our primitive brain steps in to help. So when we've got a full stress bucket, we're going to be in that primitive part of the brain. So we need to spend some time working out how we empty that stress bucket. And remember, the primitive brain is always negative, it's obsessional, it's vigilant, and it's not innovative, and it repeats previous patterns of behavior. So this stress bucket, it can be things, it doesn't always have to be the big things, it can be the little things that just keep filling up that bucket. And if we're never emptying that bucket as well, it will just constantly fill up until it overflows. And we're going to be in that primitive part of the brain, and we don't want that. We want to be in the intellectual part. And the primitive part of the brain is great when we are faced with real dangers like a polar bear, but it's not great for running our day-to-day lives, and it doesn't help us when we're trying to lose weight. So what can we do about it? How do we empty the stress bucket? So one of the key things is looking at our sleep. And this is called REM sleep, so rapid eye movement. So it's a special part of our sleep. It's the fourth cycle. So you might have heard before that we have different cycles in our sleep, and it's a fourth cycle of our sleep. And when we're in REM sleep, we process the events of the day, either metaphorically or as they happened. And we're basically emptying that stress bucket. And that might be why you can go to bed really angry. Maybe you've had an argument with a friend or your partner, and you go to bed and you're still really thinking about it and you can't stop thinking about it. And you go to bed really annoyed. And then you wake up in the morning and it's just gone. You're just like, why did I let that even bother me? What is going on? Or maybe you can't even remember that you're even mad when you went to bed. And that's because when you're in REM sleep, you've emptied that stress bucket. And this is why sleep's really key. It's really key for your overall health and well-being, but it's also really key for weight loss. Because lack of sleep, it doesn't help you to lose weight. It's actually, there's lots of research showing that it helps your body to kind of hold on to that weight, which isn't what we want. But REM sleep is also a great way to empty that stress bucket. And remember, I was saying that the stress bucket, when you've got a full stress bucket, you're going to be in the primitive part of the brain. And that's where you know what you need to do to lose weight, but you won't do it, or you don't do it. So a couple of ways to empty the stress bucket. And this is one of my favorites, and this is the 3 Ps. And they stand for positive interaction, positive action, and positive thoughts. And if you've watched any of my YouTube videos, you might have come across this before. So positive interaction. So that's spending time with friends and family, or having just those social connections. And there's so much research to show that that helps in terms of happiness, and it helps you to empty that stress bucket. Positive action. So I like to call that sort of positive movement. So it can be exercise. It could be just some kind of movement, some kind of action. So it could be gardening, going for a walk, something like that. And then positive thoughts. So this is where we focus more on the positive thoughts rather on the negative. So if you're focusing on a negative thought or catastrophizing about an event that's happened in the past or might happen in the future, try and flip it around and focus on something a bit more neutral or a bit more positive. So there are 3 Ps that also helps you to empty that stress bucket. So when we have the stress bucket, first of all, it helps to try and avoid stuff going in the first place. And then we need to find ways to empty that stress bucket. So we put less in the bucket. And we also find ways to empty that bucket, because let's face it, things are going to happen in life that fill up that stress bucket. And this is one of the key things, or sort of take-home points, that I want you to take from this session, is that losing weight doesn't make you happy. But by being happy, it can make you lose weight. It can be a nice sort of side effect. So rather than focusing on trying to lose weight, focus on becoming happier, on reducing your stress and anxiety, and just gaining back control of your life. And I'm not saying that if you are trying to lose weight that your life is out of control. I'm not saying that. But the more you can kind of get in a place where you don't have as much stress and you feel happier and you feel more in control, that's really going to help you achieve your weight loss goals. And this is another little thing that I want you to consider, our brain's reward system. So we're having a really bad day, things are not going great, and we want to reward ourselves. So basically our insulin levels have gone up, our ghrelin levels have gone up, which is where we become hungry, our leptin levels, which is where it tells our body that we're full and we've had enough, go down, and of course cortisol levels go up. So let's start from the beginning. So we're having a really bad day, we're stressed, brain rewards. The brain wants some kind of reward, and it goes for the cookies, because that's easier to eat some cookies than to practice the 3 Ps that we're just talking about. And that has an impact then on our hormones, which creates a vicious cycle. So we eat those biscuits and we get a short burst of dopamine and we feel good. And that's where our primitive brain, when it's in control, it thinks, oh, okay, that made us feel good. That kept us alive. Next time we're having a bad day, we eat the cookies rather than practicing things like the 3 Ps. But all we're doing is creating a vicious cycle here. So one other thing that I want to mention when it comes to weight loss, so it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. There's other things that impact our body and can impact our weight. Not to mention things if you have any kind of medical conditions or you're on medication. But some of the bigger, the wider, more generic things that are out there, stress. So when we're stressed, we release cortisol, and cortisol is known to basically store body fat to make it harder for us to lose any weight. Then it also makes it easier to gain weight. So not only if you're stressed, that's going to mean that you've got a full stress bucket, and it means that you're in the primitive part of the brain. Also means you've got a lot of cortisol pumping around your body, and that's going to make weight loss really difficult. Sleep, I briefly touched on this. So yeah, sleep again, it makes it hard to lose weight, and the body naturally kind of almost goes into hibernation mode, and is trying to store the fat. It's one way of looking at it. So you really need to be, if you're wanting a successful sort of weight loss journey, look at your sleep and trying to aim for sort of 8 hours sleep. Our age, so as we get older, it does make it a bit harder to lose weight. And if you're sort of perimenopausal or menopausal, that will also make it harder to lose weight. And we naturally gain a few pounds, if not more, when we're going into perimenopause and menopause. Chemicals in the brain that impacts our weight. So things like cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin, all the different chemicals going around our brain. And then our hormones, insulin, ghrelin, leptin, they all have an impact on our weight. So it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. And if it was, there wouldn't be so many of us struggling with our weight. So we need to look at the bigger picture. But like I said, the biggest thing that you can do is start by working on your mind. So if you want to lose weight, the best diet starts with the mind. So we've talked about the 3 Ps, so positive interactions, positive thoughts, positive actions. And I want to just briefly mention the law of behavior. So we have a thought that then produces a feeling that then determines our action and our behavior. So if it comes to weight loss, so if we're struggling with our weight loss, we need to look back at how we're feeling and also what our thinking and our thoughts are. So how many people have started a diet and you kind of, before you even start or on your first day, you're already sort of working out how many days you're going to last on this diet. So you've already, because you know that you've gone on and off a diet so many times that you know you're going to come off it at some point. And I have another video where I talk about actually why diets don't work. So that's worth checking out. But yeah, our thoughts. So if I have the thought of, well, yeah, if I call myself a fat girl and I'm always saying that I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, then I'm going to feel fat, I'm going to feel lousy, I'm going to feel frustrated because it's not what I want. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are overweight, there's no judgment here. There's no judgment. But what I'm trying to do is get in the mindset of somebody that's potentially saying things to themselves that they're fat. They've labelled themselves as the fat girl. They're always thinking that they're fat and that this a healthy, balanced lifestyle isn't for them, and that they've tried everything and nothing works. So they're then also going to feel probably maybe a little bit lousy, especially if that's not what they want to be. They might feel a bit frustrated, probably going to feel a little bit like they've given up, really. And if they do try something new, they're probably going to start with a bit of a mindset or a feeling that it's probably not going to work out anyway. So they're going to sort of only give it half an effort. And then that's going to lead to the action of basically, yeah, probably not doing much. Well, you know, this is me, this is who I am. I've tried everything, nothing works. I'm frustrated and just not doing anything. And you just create this vicious circle. So let me give you another example away from weight loss. So yeah, if I have the thought I'm not enough. So if I think I'm not enough, okay. So I'm going to feel lousy, I'm going to feel fed up, I'm not going to feel particularly motivated, probably going to feel a bit lethargic, maybe a bit angry, a bit frustrated. My behavior then is going to be that I'm just not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to do much, not going to risk anything, not going to take any chances. So I won't apply for that job, apply for that promotion. I won't ask that person out. And then because they're my actions, that's going to reinforce my original thought of I'm not enough. Now, if I was to flip it and completely change it and believe and tell myself I am enough, then I'm going to feel confident. I'm going to feel brave. I'm going to feel successful. You can even see my body, how my body's completely changed just by saying those words, I am enough. I'm going to feel successful, confident, happy, motivated, brave. And therefore, in terms of actions and behavior, I'm probably going to, take a few more risks, be a bit more daring, going to be a bit more, I'm going to do stuff. I'm going to apply for a job, apply for a promotion, ask that person out on a date. I'm going to do the things I said I was going to do. And then because I'm doing all that stuff, that's going to reinforce my original thought that I am enough. So can you see we have this law of behavior, which is a loop of thoughts, feelings, action and behavior, and then back to our thoughts. So this is really impactful as well when it comes to our weight management. So if you have the thought of I've tried everything, nothing works, then you're going to feel really down in dumps, fed up. And then even if you try and take on something new, do something new, you're just not going to do it, are you? You're going to sort of half attempt it because everything else has never worked. But if I have the thought of, okay, you know what, maybe I am a little bit overweight, but actually I can do this. I've got amazing skills. I can do this. I really want this. I'm going to do this. And then your feeling is that you're going to be determined and you're going to feel motivated. You're going to feel upbeat and you're going to be determined, focused. And therefore your action behavior is going to be completely different. You're going to be turning up to the gym. You're going to be eating healthier foods, picking healthier foods, doing better portion sizes. And then because you're doing all that, that's going to reinforce the thought that, yeah, actually, you know what, I've got this, I can do this. I might have a little bit of weight to lose, but I'm going to lose it and I am losing it. Okay, so can you see the complete difference? So again, it all stems that weight loss starts in our head first. It's not a physical thing. It's not about what we're putting into our body and how much we're moving our body. That comes later, but it starts here. So yeah, if you want any further help or any more information, I do have other videos, especially on my YouTube channel or on Facebook. I work with people on a one-to-one. I've got a wait list if you want to join my wait list. And I'm also looking to put on some group online weight management classes. So if you are interested, then you can register your interest. I will put the links in below, so you can follow those through and either join the waitlist for one-to-one sessions and work with me, or register your interest about joining a online class. Do check out some of my other blogs and videos. I really hope this has been really helpful, and I hope it's just giving you a bit of food for thought of actually where you need to start when it comes to weight loss. So if you want to lose weight, it first starts with our head. We need to get our head and our mindset in the right place. We need to understand a little bit more about the brain. It doesn't have to be lots. Pretty much what I've covered in this video is enough. So you don't need to be going studying neuroscience, but just a little bit of understanding about the brain and how that impacts us when it comes to weight loss. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your feedback as well. So comment or drop me an email, let me know. And if you have any questions, I covered quite a bit in this video, so it might be that you want to kind of replay the video. But yeah, if you have any questions, or if there's anything else that you want me to go a bit deeper into, then let me know. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. And if you think the video might be useful for somebody else, then feel free to share it with them as well. Take care. Bye.